All right, here we are. Satnam, everybody. Salima here from Yoga Vision. It is an opportunity for us to sit and to contemplate this topic of depression. So I know that even the word depression can get our backs up a little bit. And what I'm hoping today to do is for us to find our center in this topic, to find a way to look at it a little bit differently, to understand and to relate to ourselves a little bit differently in this topic. So first of all, I wanted to give you all a very warm welcome and to let you know that I really love getting all of your emails. So please keep them coming. I want to give a shout out to those of you who are watching from Europe, from Germany, from the UK, from the Netherlands, and also all of our friends in South America, from Peru, from Honduras, from Brazil, as well as everyone who's writing in from India and Japan as well. So it's been an amazing journey to see how the teachings have impacted your life, and to know that spiritually as a community we've come together, found something resourceful, found something effective that helps us all feel good. And so also a shout out to everybody here in Canada where I live, and also to our friends in the US. So for those of you who are watching, send us a little shout out. Let us know where you're watching from. And let's take a few moments to get settled in here together and to give ourselves an opportunity to really explore this topic a little bit more and to think about it, like I said, a little bit differently. So today, I'll be covering off what is depression, how do you identify that you may have some of the symptoms, and use that as a signal to go forward into choosing a meditation or kriya, or potentially even looking for a medication and a doctor's support in order to take the next steps. That's another way to go. And then we'll explore, we'll do a short meditation to see what kind of impact meditation can have on the state of depression, and to give you a little live experience of what it's like to be in a Kundalini Yoga experience with me. And then finally, we'll wrap up. I'll make an announcement on when the next premiere is. And so you can actually follow along for a full-length video on how to address depression using Kundalini Yoga. So today we're starting the conversation, and then we'll be launching the live full-length class in a little bit of time, and I'll announce the date right at the end of today's session. So just looking over at the comments in the chat, thank you, Cindy. Nice to see you. Choosing Divinity, that's Charles. And Luella from Arizona. Nice to have all of you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Vanessa's here taking care of the chat and moderating for all of us. So please feel free to drop her a line. And before we jump in, I wanted to give a big shout out and a thank you to all the people, all the important yogis who helped bring this together. Vanessa's one of them. Charles is another. Vanessa, you can see live on Facebook on Sundays, and Charles will be on Instagram on Fridays. So that's Yoga Vision Center on Facebook, and also Yoga Vision on Instagram. Okay. So depression, first of all, what is it? And how do we know that that's something that we need to deal with? So some of the symptoms, or some of the signs, the signals internally is number one, probably number one across the board, is feeling a sense of tiredness, a sense of lethargy, a sense of not being able to get out of bed. So in other words, all of this meaning a lack of motivation or a lack of drive to do some of the things that used to bring pleasure or to bring joy or to bring happiness, or just what was part of your day-to-day becomes a little bit more challenging. And that is probably one of the first things that becomes obvious, is needing to sleep, not wanting to go out, so self-isolating, not wanting to, or not feeling able to connect with friends and family. That's number two. And then number three is not feeling the same kind of enthusiasm or connection to hobbies or to pastimes that used to bring pleasure or joy or happiness. And so all of those three things really start to give us an indicator that something's not quite right. And if you've ever had depression, or you've experienced it with a friend or a family member, you know that there's a little sparkle that's gone missing. The thing that creates the joy of regular day-to-day life, the interest in being there on a day-to-day level, somehow has gone missing. So I want to talk about that a little bit more and to address it from a yogic perspective. So I wanted to remind you that I'm a yoga therapist, which means I use the medicine of Kundalini Yoga to treat psycho-spiritual experiences. So I'm not a trained doctor. I'm not a talk therapist. I'm not involved in those fields. So I will say right off the bat, if the situation of depression is chronic, and very well could be, if it becomes really serious, then it is really important to consult a doctor, a therapist, and to explore if medicine, actual pharmaceutical medicine, would be a good approach. So I just want to say that off the bat. From for milder cases and from a place or a point of view where you can actually feel some of these symptoms or these signals coming on, you can identify them, then there are other ways to approach it. So in the spiritual realms, when depression comes along, it is a signal that there is a disconnect between the personality and the spiritual self. So in other words, the soul has a mission, a vision, an idea for each of our lives. So my soul, your soul has a mission to be here. And when we are listening, it becomes much easier to live the life that we're meant to live. And when we're stop listening, either by belief or by force, by some other situations that come up in childhood, then following our soul becomes really difficult and challenging, because it's almost like we've closed down on that opportunity to listen to a higher knowledge or a higher wisdom. It's challenging. And so that's something to really consider and keep in mind when some of these things start to happen. What's my disconnect? How come I've lost my motivation? What is it? And if we can just hold in hand that there's a spiritual spark that needs to remain intact, needs to be nourished, needs to be nurtured along the way, it is a very useful tool to getting in and getting a little bit more of the relief that we need in order to come back to that place of balance and openness and willingness to participate in what life is offering. So that's a really key thing. And it's not just from a yogic perspective. This is coming through in all kinds of different spiritual traditions, that when we take care of our soul and we allow our spiritual self to be part of the equation, it becomes a much more rich and fulfilling journey. And when we shut down that conversation, or we don't have that conversation, then what likely is there in front of us is lethargy, is sleepiness, is not quite motivated or happy with what other things that used to spark joy. So those are important factors. It's that gap between the soul self and the personality self. So I wanted just to keep that in mind. And now that we have that understanding, let's take a few moments to breathe and to connect, and then move right into our meditation. And once we're done the meditation, let me offer you a little bit more to consider and to do in terms of how to address the disconnect between soul self and personality self. So let's take a moment to sit up tall and straight. So find yourself in a good, comfortable, seated position. And let's go into our meditation now. Press your palms together at the center of your chest. Sit up tall and straight, focusing in between the eyebrows and slightly above. We'll take a few long, deep breaths here. Take in the information that has just been shared and give us an opportunity now to really settle in and to soak in this experience. So sitting back against your spine, feel that alignment. Close your eyes gently. Take a few long, deep breaths. Inhale very deeply and exhale completely. Let's tune in. Om Namo Gurudev Namo, I bow to the teacher within. Inhale very deeply. Exhale. Inhale, let's tune in. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Beautiful. And just this chant alone brings us closer to our own soul self, makes a spiritual connection between who we are and the universe that created us. So now let's come into the meditation. This is a dynamic meditation, has movement and also mantra. So from here, sitting back into your chair, make sure that you have room in front of you. So we're going to be pressing the palms in front and then over to the sides as if we were pushing the walls against, pushing our hands against the wall, and then bringing the hands back to center. So here, as the hands are together, chant the mantra Sat, meaning truth, Kar, Tar, Sat, Kar, Tar, Sat, Kar, Tar, Sat, Kar, Tar. So keep the focus on the nose. Sat, Kar, Tar, 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 Sat, Kar, Tar. Good. Do that a few more times. The mantra Sat, Kar, Tar means doer of truth. So we're looking for the truth to come into our experience. What is the truth? What's the truth for us? And what do we need in order to establish, to connect with the truth of who we really are? What is it? And this mantra summons that experience. Let's do a few last rounds together. Sat, Kar, Tar, Sat, Kar, Tar. Last two. Sat, Kar, Tar. Last one. Sat, Kar, Tar. Beautiful. Sit up tall and straight. Press your palms together at the center of your chest. Take a moment here. Let the energy center you, ground you, and feel yourself stepping back into the conversation now. Relax your hands all the way down to your knees. Take a moment here. And let's come back to the idea of connecting with our spiritual self. Because really, at the end of the day, whether there's depression or not, being connected to soul, to spirit, to our creative energy, all of that leads to a much more balanced and, I would say, enjoyable life. And so how do we come back to spirit? How do we come back to our sweet self? I would say first and foremost is to connect to what gives us life, and that is the breath. So the breath is what separates us from the living experience and the dying experience. And so taking a long, deep breath is the powerful foundation to coming back to the truth. The powerful part about taking a breath is that we start to engage with prana. And prana is a yogic expression, it's a term that relates to the energy systems in the body. So when we're breathing, we're exchanging prana with the world around us. So we're taking in energy and we're also releasing energy. When we're making strong eye contact with another person, with a favorite pet, we are exchanging prana with another person. So prana can come through the breath, it can come through the eyes, it can come through food. So when we're eating and the quality and the nature of what we're eating becomes very powerful, another way of engaging with prana. And so is touch. So all of these four ways of exchanging energy or prana with the world around us, the external world around us, become really powerful ways to come back to spirit, to come back to the soul level. But let's come back to breath for a moment. It's so very easy to say, hey, take a long, deep breath. And, I know because I've done it many times and I've been told many times, okay, take a deep breath. And the important part of being cued, somebody stepping in and saying, hey, take a breath, is that there is an external source reminding me, reminding us to breathe deeply, to take in that prana, to settle ourselves, to come back to present. But we don't always have somebody else around. And particularly if we're feeling isolated, or particularly if we're feeling like we can't get out of bed, then there may not be another person to do that job for us. And so really it's an internal connection. It's to know and to be aware and to say, okay, I've run out of energy and I need to reconnect. Let me take a breath. And so this is easy with a long, deep breath. This is a foundational way of connecting, is a long, deep breath. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. You've done it many times over the course of the day, almost 20,000 breaths that we take over the course of the day that require no intervention whatsoever. And then when we stop and realize that perhaps we're not breathing very deeply, or that we can use our breath to our best advantage, then we're really starting to tap into a conscious awareness. And so that's what taking a long, deep breath really does. It signals, it cues the body, hey, it's time to wake up. It's time to be here. It's time to be present. And that's a very powerful way to calm and to relax. So that's one technique, long, deep breathing. And did you know that there are literally hundreds and hundreds more? Some involve mantra, using sound to inhale and exhale. Could be a word in English, inhaling love, exhaling love, for example. Or we can start to segment the breath, inhaling in 4 short sniffs and exhaling in 4 short sniffs. Or regulating the breath, called breath retention, so that there's an inhale, a pause, and an exhale. And then there's other ways to hold and shape the body so that when we're breathing, it becomes much more of a direct path into the nervous system. So, like I said, there are hundreds, if not, I would say hundreds. Let's leave it there. Hundreds of ways to breathe that allow us to tap in, tune in, turn in inwards to our highest self. And so we've lost that we've created a disconnection or have become disconnected for all the various reasons that could happen. Coming back to the breath is probably number one. So, like I said, it sounds simple, but it's not always easy. And so over the past month, I've put together a video series. This is called the Breath of Life series. Vanessa's going to drop you a link down below. And this series is 5 different breathing techniques that will help to address sleep, digestion, anxiety, and stress. So whatever comes up in the course of your day, you'll have not only the technique, but also some visual and some clues to remind yourself when to breathe and how to breathe. So I wanted to just give you a little, give you that as a gift and as an opportunity to do a little bit more work on yourself and to learn a little bit more about what breath has to offer. So the link is dropped down below. Thank you, Vanessa, for doing that. And that is an online purchase, an opportunity for you to really get close to your breath and to understand more of what the healing technique is all about. So second to that, from a yogic perspective, is to listen to mantra. Mantras are a very powerful way to connect to a sound vibration. So just like we use the mantra Sat Kar Tar in this meditation that we had today, it was a way of calling the truth and a way of listening, not just not just listening, but actually sending out a message and then waiting for the reply. And the powerful part about mantra is that that's exactly what it's designed to do. Many of the mantras that you hear in yogic traditions, Kundalini Yoga in particular, these sounds are designed specifically to call a message, to send a message, and to receive a message. So it's not spoken language. It's not a language like English. It's called Gurmukhi. And Gurmukhi has the vibratory frequency of a direct connection to all that is, also known as the universe, also known as the divine or the creative force. And so when we're having that divine connection, it becomes much easier to remember our truth, to remember that there's something about us that's undying and unborn, and that we can tap in, tune in, and turn inwards at any point. So the remedy for that, listening to mantra, is very straightforward. Really press play and listen to it. So even if you can't quite get yourself out of bed and your phone is close by, I've developed a playlist. It's here located at Yoga Vision 108 under our playlist. Vanessa's going to share that with you just now. And that playlist is an opportunity for you to listen to some of my favorite mantras on YouTube, and also to start to cultivate an appreciation for what sound can do. Many of you have written to me and said that you really appreciate the sounds of Kundalini Yoga, and that you've also tuned into other frequencies. So you've listened to Tibetan bells or singing bowls, and all of that are powerful ways to start to change the vibration of your cellular structure. So let's circle back again to what depression is and how it can show itself. So sometimes what we know, or not sometimes, but what we know about depressive states is that there's an impact on some of the hormones in the body. And so some of that decline of hormones, or some of that overproduction of hormones, can come from the things that we think about, the experiences that we've had as children, and many times the kind of life that we're living on a day-to-day basis. So when we start to lose hope, when we have aspirations, dreams, ideas, and the feeling of hopelessness comes when we can't quite reach it, it's just out of hand. And so some of these practices of coming back to the breath, coming back to sound, help to heal, help to transform all of that. So I want to offer some hope. I want to offer a little challenge in terms of how you think about what can happen with yourself if you're going through this particular state of mind, and to really give it a think. Is it true for me? And if it's true, then maybe some of these healing practices could be of service and could be of use to you. And that's the beauty about Kundalini Yoga. The power is in the practice. And so thinking about it, reading about it is one level of understanding, one level of self-care. And then actually sitting down and practicing, that becomes a whole other level of experience, of knowledge, and gained wisdom. So on that note, I want to offer you one more thing in today's session, and that is to let you know that I'm going to be releasing a live video on November 9th, and this is a premiere video, and the topic is specifically on depression. So you'll receive the tuning in, the movements, as well as a meditation that will help to inspire, to move, to shift the energy so that you can start to think about things a little bit differently, to dig in deep, and to find a way to really come come through this mental health challenge. We're in a time right now where there's so much uncertainty. And so this healing series is really about giving everyone the tools and the techniques, the conversation, the opportunity to connect with me and the community here at Yoga Vision 108, and to really start to think about, well, what are the best ways that I can use? What can I do for myself in my own house? Whether I can see people or go to a studio or is beside the point, but in my own home, what can I do to take care of my well-being? And mental health is so important. So this is our gesture to you, that when the world is feeling better, then each one of us is feeling better, we come to a place of higher consciousness. We come to a place where we can think and talk about peace and eradicating violence and looking at safety and security for food and well-being and shelter for all. And it doesn't become a pie in the sky type of idea, but rather a lived experience. So these are some of the reasons why we as a team come together and make sure that we have live videos and experiences for you, so that when you feel good, you can impact in a positive way the people around you. So that's my why. I'd love to hear your why now. Why do you practice Kundalini Yoga? What has it done for you? So you can drop me a note. You can do that at love.yogavision@gmail.com. If you're looking for a little bit more of a personal practice, you can also email me there and ask for a numerology consult. And I'll go through and from a yogic perspective, really let you know what's the shining light, what's the guiding light for you, and what kriya and meditation can we use in order for you to really feel on purpose with a purpose. So in closing now, there's a lot in the world of Kundalini Yoga that can be of service and of help to you. I hope you stay tuned for the live premiere, which is coming up on Monday, November 9th. That's premiering 11 a.m. Eastern time. And so if you're dialing in from other places in the world, not to worry, it'll be available on YouTube on that day. And in the meantime, please drop me a note. I'd love to hear from you. And you can also visit our freshly redone website at yogavision.com and send us a message through that platform as well. Lots of love to each and every one of you. I send you greetings and blessings all the way around the world. For those of you who are tuning in from India, from the Far East, from Malaysia, from Singapore, from Thailand, from also the Philippines, I love hearing from you. Thank you so much. You've made this journey into the online space so rewarding, and I give you my humble gratitude. Thank you so much for that. Until next time, we will be connecting, and I send you lots of love. Sat Nam.